Author Kevin Kramer wants to thank you for supporting his next book project, the story of the greatest steamboatman in history, Captain Grant Marsh. It's an amazing story, and the new book is filled with awesome illustrations and historical photos that bring the story to life. When Kramer was growing up in Mandan, North Dakota, he heard the story about Captain Grant Marsh, the man who piloted the steamboat Far West as it brought the wounded back from the Little Bighorn in Montana to Fort Abraham Lincoln south of Mandan in 1876. But Kramer wondered if there was much more to Grant Marsh's story, maybe even enough to write a book that readers of all ages would enjoy. 3 years ago, he began researching the life of Captain Grant Marsh, and he was amazed at what he found. There were so many awesome stories associated with Captain Marsh's life, stories that now make up Kramer's new book. Would you believe Mark Twain saved Grant Marsh's life when they were both in their early 20s working on the steamboat A.B. Chambers? The two men became lifelong friends after that. It's a great story. It's hard to believe, but Grant Marsh knew people like Buffalo Bill Cody, George and Libby Custer, Yellowstone Kelly, Sitting Bull, Teddy Roosevelt, General Ulysses S. Grant, and Wild Bill Hickok. Many of them were his good friends. There are some great stories about Grant Marsh and them in this book. Grant Marsh definitely lived an exciting life. Would you believe he once survived a direct hit by a tornado when he was piloting the steamboat Little Eagle? It's another great story, and it's in the book. Another story in the book involves one of Captain Marsh's steamboats, the Ida Stockdale, being surrounded by tens of thousands of buffalo. Captain Marsh worked on steamboats for 70 of the 82 years of his life. He worked on the Ohio, Mississippi, and Missouri river systems, but the dangerous, challenging Upper Missouri River was the most challenging by far. And the captain never lost his steamboat on the Missouri, a rare feat in itself. When you read this book, you will learn so much about Grant Marsh's life and get the added bonus of learning about steamboats and the steamboat era. To help bring this book alive, Kramer traveled to many of the places Grant Marsh lived during his steamboat years. He acquired dozens of historical and current photos that add so much to this story. When Kramer traveled to Yankton, South Dakota, he couldn't believe that Grant Marsh's home and barn are still there, and they're in great shape. The beautiful hotel in Fort Benton, Montana that Grant Marsh once stayed in is still there too. To illustrate many of the great stories in the book, Kramer hired Daryl Ellison, a phenomenal artist from Bismarck, North Dakota. Daryl's illustrations add so much to the story. The book is almost done. With your support, you will have the opportunity to get the first signed copies in March or early April, several weeks before anyone else, at less than the cover price of $15.99. Plus, you will receive a special bookmark also signed by Kramer. Thanks again for your support of this Captain Grant Marsh book project. Please buy a book or 100 and share this video with anyone who might be interested.